we haven't really done many sort of movie discussions, reviews on the show, but this is one that kind of took me by surprise to the extent that I enjoyed it and thought it was well made. Captain America, Winter Soldier, which is a Phase 2 Marvel film. Let's
point out that there's probably going to be some spoilers in here.
It's been out for 3 weeks almost, but there's going to be spoilers.
Yeah, so
there will be.
So if you're adverse to that, if you're waiting to watch it at home on your couch, tune out now.
He's a ghost. All right.
He's not any ghost. He's Blueberry. So yeah, no, okay. I found this.
Let's back up here.
Yeah,
we'll back up. So
fine.
Captain America is my second favorite superhero behind Spider-Man. So when the Captain America First Avenger film came out, I was very excited. The casting of Chris Evans, I was kind of halfway at the time, just because he had played the Human Torch in the two below average Fox Fantastic Four movies. So I'm like, okay, but I wasn't getting all up in arms like a lot of the fan was like, oh, he can't play two characters. I didn't care to that extent, because I figured in 5 years now, no one's going to give a shit about those movies, and no one gives a shit about those Fantastic Four movies. So much for that, so that they're rebooting it next year.
Yeah.
So he did a fine job in the first movie. The origin was told well in the first film. I did not like the first film's story a huge amount. I liked Hugo Weaving's portrayal of the Red Skull, but it was a war film. It was a World War II war film, which is fine. That was cool. I like how the Marvel films have different styles to some of their movies. You know, like the first Thor movie was almost like a Shakespearean drama in some extent to how it was conveyed on screen. So I liked the movie. I didn't like a lot of the montage sequences. I thought the action could have been better with how Captain America moved. I go back to how the villain in the Incredible Hulk film, the one that took the serum, the super soldier serum, Blodsky, whatever his name is, someone's going to correct me. He moved like Captain America against the Hulk. He was doing dives and running around flipping and shooting at the Hulk in that scene on campus. And at the time, I thought, holy shit, that's how Captain America is going to move, and that's how he should move. Like, he's the peak human. He has the best agility, speed, and strength of a human being. That's Captain America. But he didn't in the first movie. The action was very straightforward, not a lot of diving back and forth, showing off his agility. So Winter Soldier comes out. Oh, I'll back up again. Avengers comes out. And Captain America, I thought, got shortchanged in Avengers.
He has almost no scenes.
He's always sitting down at the table, just going back and forth with Stark. Yeah, he does lead at the end, but he doesn't have a huge amount of action.
And his banter wasn't
well written to the character.
Right. And yeah, I was a little... See, because I hadn't seen the first one and I still haven't.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is upsetting to Vonnie, because...
It's upsetting to me, because then there's a few sines in the second one you're like, what the fuck is this?
No, I know comics. They all make sense.
Okay.
It's not fucking hard.
The Haley Atwell scene wasn't as impactful as it should have been, though.
I got it. So anyways, that's Vonnie's favorite superheroes, Cap. So, she was like, we have to go. But yeah, I remember seeing in the Avengers, I really wanted to see, because I hadn't seen the first Cap film, I was really looking forward to some good Captain America action. And it just wasn't there, and his banter wasn't there, but I could tell that it wasn't Chris Evans. I could tell that it was just, he wasn't really written into that.
It was almost like the Iron Man movie, Avengers.
Yeah. No, it was. It was very much an Iron Man movie. I mean, more so than it was an Avengers movie. Which is not to say I didn't like the Avengers, because I did. I know everyone out there thinks I fucking hate everything, but I actually really liked the Avengers movie.
I liked it, but it's not a movie I'll have to go back and rewatch.
I don't know that it would stand up to repeat viewings. I've only seen it once. However, I would watch Winter Soldier again and again, and probably at least
I've seen it twice already.
Yeah.
So when I first saw the trailers for Captain America Winter Soldier, I'm like, okay, they did a great job of protecting the plot in both trailers, in both the teaser and in the full trailer. Hell, the name itself is just based upon the villain, which, spoiler, is his old friend Bucky, who dies in the first one.
Anyone who knows comics knows that's Bucky.
Yeah. But, so that's kind of the only thing they gave away, was that. They gave away almost nothing else from the plot. Even in the full trailer, you see some things like, okay, Captain America, he doesn't like what's going on, maybe with S.H.I.E.L.D., and that's it. Right. That's where it ends, which you kind of expect it to be a natural sort of plot with that anyway, because people... I don't like when people get on Captain America for saying, oh, he's just some American thing. When Captain America came back in the 60s, once you hit the Vietnam War, he wasn't like, oh, let's go kill all those Vietnamese. He was questioning the government. And that's why I love Captain America, because he stands up for the true ideals of America.
Me too. Everyone looks at people who don't know comics have this tendency to look at Captain America as this jingoistic, bullshit pro everything character. And actually, one of my very close friends who I've known for 2.5 decades thought that too. And when I went home recently, he was like, I gotta tell you, my opinion on Captain America has changed about 100%. Tell Vonnie, I'm pretty sure she'd be pleased. I'm like, yeah, dude, once you read and see some actual Cap stuff that's written by good authors, or he's a fantastic character. Mm-hmm. I mean,
because he comes from the World War II era where, pro-USA, we were fighting to save the world in World War II. Make no bones about it. That was huge stakes.
Yep.
We were on the right side. And so for Captain America to lead the way there, it was jingoistic. Hell, he was used as a propaganda tool in World War II. In the movie he was too, which is funny. The first movie, they actually have him shooting serials, which they actually did during World War II. So it's pretty cool. And they actually show a kid reading the Captain America comics. They actually built it into the first movie that he was used as a propaganda tool, which was pretty clever. They actually show him punching out Hitler, which is fine. But then he's a fish out of water. He comes back, so he has to adjust, which is always fascinating. That's always fascinating how you have to adjust, to a modern world. But then he's like, oh, okay, the world's changed, but he hasn't. His ideals are still there. He's, bleeding red, white, and blue. Yeah, he is patriotic, but he's not just going to go pro-USA no matter what. So that was what surprised me the most about this. And this is why I always go back to Disney really surprising me with what they're doing creatively with their franchises. Both with their Pixar films, they have a lot to say. And a lot of it's not always, either pro-USA or pro-whatever. Look at the movie like WALL-E, which is basically a very pro, both not only environmentalism, but very anti-consumerism movie. And that's a huge Pixar film. And Disney was okay with it. This is a very politically charged movie, especially in the age we are living in.
Yeah.
No matter what side you're on. A lot of people on the left and the right agree that stuff like the NSA and having a kill list in the government, which does exist, is too much of government overreaching and overstepping. Yeah, and that's where Captain America comes into play in this. And it was beautifully written.
That was something that I thought was very interesting upon leaving the theater was a lot of thinly veiled politics are in this movie.
Thinly veiled?
Thinly.
It's not even thinly veiled.
And it's not left or right leaning. It's basically concerns that we all have. It doesn't matter if you're a bleeding heart liberal or a diehard conservative. You're gonna walk away from Captain America. I think. I mean, there's always people out there who can surprise you, but I think you're gonna walk away and be like, no, the message in that movie was fucking sound.
Yeah. I know you don't like talking politics, but at its core, I would say liberals and people on the right, which go for small government, and libertarians, I do lean libertarian, are very fearful of having too large a government that oversees everything that's going on. And they even said, the writers, and these are guys that worked on the Community series, they even said when they were producing the movie last year, that's when the Edward Snowden stuff came out. It was almost like a perfect storm because they didn't write it knowing that would happen, with him revealing all the NSA stuff and having them, not only that they're collecting our phone records, but our phone calls, and storing them in huge databases, things like that are really scary to me. And this is what Winter Soldier taps into, is that it's not even paranoia because it's happening. It's just saying, now what happens when that much control now gets into the wrong hands? And that's what scares Captain America. Because even at the beginning of the film, Nick Fury's like, well, he goes to Cap, this is the world we live in now. You have to just get with it. They're basically saying that they're going to launch these 3 Insight teleharrier, whatever they are, teleharriers? Helicarriers, yeah, that can stay in the air and have huge guns and can coordinate from a satellite, and basically, we can kill terrorists in their rabbit holes. Yeah, that sounds good on paper, but then what happens? Who's deciding who's the terrorist?
Right.
That's the fear. Like who decides and who gets put on that kill list?
Right.
And that's what the Cap is questioning. Like, so you're going to preemptively just kill people now, basically, that you think are dangerous. That's not what he signed up for, so, basically.
Now that we've got this laid out, let's rewind a little bit and go over why this works so well. And I'll go back to your statement on the previews and how, they showed very little. Knowing that a good portion of people going into that movie would know that Bucky is the Winter Soldier, they threw so many twists and turns at you. Because so many people, I think, went into that movie thinking, I know who the bad guy is. what are they going to do? Now, I know Iron Man 3 divided a lot of people, but I had a little bit more faith going into Winter Soldier because Iron Man 3 threw me for a couple of loops.
And I liked Iron Man 3.
Yeah, I did too. I liked it a lot. I know a lot of people don't like it.
I like that it took risks.
Yeah, I did too. I don't like... I mean, I know a lot of people don't like how they handled the Mandarin, but I just thought it was a good movie. Anyways, different movie. I knew that they were going to throw some curveballs at us.
Sure.
And it worked really well. And I just, I mean, when... We already said spoiler alert. When they shoot and they kill Fury, I mean, I knew that he was coming back, but where is he coming back? How is he coming back? Like, everything that happened, you knew kind of what was going to happen, but you didn't know how it was going to play out.
I didn't. Okay, you kind of figured that. By the way, Robert Redford did an incredible job.
He was fucking fantastic.
I love that the Marvel films are getting these great. Even like we always go back to Stanley Tucci, who was in the first Captain America. Not almost a throwaway part, but he brings so much more to the movie. Or Tommy Lee Jones. So, and they got Redford partially because in the 70s he was in all those political thrillers.
Right.
Like All the President's Men, 3 Days of the Condor.
Yeah, he already knows the genre.
Yeah, that's probably why he's like, wow, this is the stuff I was doing 30, 40 years ago. This is really cool.
Right.
And that's how this movie is constructed. This is not, to me, a superhero movie. Yes, it has your third act superhero stuff where you have to save the world. But it's constructed as a political thriller.
No, but here's the beauty. It is a political thriller at its core, but it is also a superhero movie. And it's also, hands down, the best damn action movie I have seen
in a while,
in forever. Why? Because there was some good set pieces, but the action wasn't guns and lasers. And even though Cap used his shield a lot, there was so much hand-to-hand choreography in that movie.
And it was done well.
And it was done well with very little effect, just very good hand-to-hand choreography.
Yep.
Like old school 80s beat-em-up action. And
the car chase scene, which was almost no CG, I could tell.
Freaking fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, but all that hand-to-hand combat, that's, the scenes on the boat, the scene in the elevator, like all that stuff, it made me so happy to see it because we haven't seen visceral, action movie stuff.
And it was well shot. It wasn't confusing like the Bourne movies where it was too shaky, you couldn't tell what's going on.
Right. No, it was very.
There was a little bit of that, but you can tell what's going on.
Unlike most action movies these days, no, there was a lot of still frame stuff where you just saw two people going at it. And that's the thing. The movie was fast paced. It was action packed. It had a great story.
The pacing was fantastic.
It never once lingered on anything.
No, it didn't feel like a movie that was 2 hours and 20 minutes or whatever it was about that.
It was like Chris Evans' chiseled body. It was
very sleek. And
it was all,
no fat,
no muss, no fat, no fat. Yeah. It was awesome.
I think what was very important about it was that everything had consequences, and then people got hurt.
Yes.
Like you used to like these superhero movies where they get hurt, but they raise the stakes. When Fury gets shot, you're like, holy shit! Even though you might think he's coming back, I thought they might have actually killed him off and taken that big risk to kill him off. That's just me. I think I thought that was ballsy to even. I just thought that. I know
you think stretcher spots are real in wrestling.
No. No, listen. Just think about the balls that they did kill him off.
No, I know. And
that's the one I was saying. I was like, wow, they have the ball. Because if they killed off that character at that point, which most of the audience, 90% of the audience thought he was dead, this movie is, yes. Come on.
I disagree.
I don't think the casual person that doesn't read a lot of the comics would have thought that he wasn't dead. I honestly don't. But the whole point was he got hurt.
Sure.
He was hurt. That was an excellent scene. And the car chase scene, because he got his ass, like, just the visceral reaction of having these, they were fake cops, they were really S.H.I.E.L.D., Hydra, open fire with machine guns on his car. You're like, holy shit, in the middle of broad daylight?
Yeah. No, it was a brutal movie with less like kid friendly.
This was not a movie for kids at all,
and it was PG-13, but it was far less kid friendly than any of the prior Marvel movies.
No,
a lot of blood, a lot of like upsetting situations, a lot of stuff. Like that.
Captain America gets shot multiple times. Yeah. Black Widow gets shot, and you're like, holy shit! Like they did it to the point where you actually, I know it's stupid to say, you think they could have got killed because they showed characters getting really messed up.
Yep.
It was very grounded. Again, until that third act where, yes, they have to go onto
all superhero. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the fun. I mean, that's the payoff.
Yeah, but again, I like the fact that it was done. Everything fit. So his distrust of Black Widow at the beginning, Captain America's distrust of Black Widow because she was writing basically a covert op inside the mission for Nick Fury to get that data off of the ship. You know, stuff like that. So even Cap's like, I don't know what the hell, I don't know if I like this, what's going on. And it took a while for Nick Fury to see that too.
I really liked that they played up the distrust angle and they didn't resolve it immediately, kind of like they did in Avengers between Iron Man and Hulk. They really played it out long term. But I do want to make a point that I thought was, something that I thought was great. Scarlett Johansson is Black Widow. Also didn't impress me a ton in Avengers.
No.
But in this, the way that, and I don't want to discredit her because I've liked her in a lot of films, but I feel like this is more a compliment to Chris Evans or just how they all work together. Chris Evans plays off of Scarlett Johansson so well, and even better, I have to really shout out to Anthony Mackie, the guy who played Falcon. He's fucking awesome. I love him, and I can't wait to see more of him. And the way him and Chris Evans played off each other was outstanding.
I hate to say he was extremely likable, but the second I saw him, like, this guy's really fucking cool.
From their opening moment,
which is hysterical, the first scene in the movie.
The first scene in the movie all the way to the end, like, all three of them played an amazing group of ragtag friends, and it's almost sad to me that we won't just get those three doing it again.
You might in a third movie.
Well, yeah, that would be fun.
He's going to do a third Captain America in the third Avengers at least, and second Avengers. But yeah, Anthony Mackie. Here's the thing. I have a lot of those early '70s when it was Captain America and Falcon.
Yeah. When
he was wearing like the vest and the wings, and they did a great job updating the character. And they gave him a cool sort of spin that he was sort of retired, but he was running, you know, a PTSD sort of group at the VA. I'm like, that's really cool. You know, they're sort of keeping it somewhat relevant and giving him a reason for, you know, he kind of, a way for him to identify, him and Cap are both war veterans. They both went through the same sort of hell.
From what I understand, it's more mixing, and Bonnie loves it, it's more mixing of the Ultimate Universe and the non-Ultimate Universe. Because apparently, she said that Falcon is based heavily off of Ultimate Falcon.
Well, I'm sure. You can't have him flying around with feathery wings in these Marvel films. Yeah. I had no problem with them updating something like that.
Neither do I. Just like I
no problem.
Just like I don't mind the fact that they took Ultimate Nick Fury and put him in the...
No, I have no problem with it. The only problem with that is I wish they had an old Nick Fury, too. That's the one thing I wish they had both. but no, Chris Evans, like I said, it's very hard. I give him a lot of credit because it's very difficult, I could tell, to act in a very earnest, sort of straightforward way without seeming corny.
But he never did.
He doesn't seem corny.
No, he's awesome.
He does act like someone who is a fish out of water trying to adjust, but it doesn't come off contrived. It didn't come off like, wow, he's just corny. He doesn't belong in this America. He came up with someone that really, that's who he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why I love Captain America.
And that scene where he goes and he sees the exhibit on himself, that was great.
That sort of got to you?
Yeah, that guy got to
But why was he doing that? And this is one, and I knew they were going to do this scene from the first one, and I honestly teared up the first time I saw it when he goes to visit Peggy.
Yeah.
Peggy Carter from the first film, and that was honestly that got me to tears. Because it's always like, see, I love stuff like that. That's why I love Highlander, because in Highlander, the one person never ages in the first movie, Connor McLeod, and he sees the love of his life grow old. And how would you deal with that? It'd be devastating. Sure. It's the most devastating. And there he is, and a scene not really needed for the movie, but it was beautifully done, and it showed a lot of the character that he's there visiting, who has to be a woman probably in her mid-90s like Cap is, and she's dying. She has Alzheimer's in this hospital, and she's like crying, and it's like, that got to me. I'm sorry. And he's there, and that's the love of his life, and she's going to die pretty soon.
It's still, it wasn't a scene that was necessary to the plot, but it wasn't fat like we were talking about earlier. It totally helps you
It was a character establishment.
Yeah, it totally helps you feel closer to the character.
Yeah.
So anyways, I mean...
Action was fantastic. The first scene, when I saw that first scene, him take out, I was like, holy shit, that's Captain America. Like, that was perfectly done. Like I said, Black Widow was written better. I think that was partly Scarlett Johansson, partly, again, these were comedy writers. But the comedy was not overdone. They fit it in where they could. That's the other thing I like.
I felt like the comedy was a little bit heavier in the first third, and then probably because of comedy writers, and then by the second and third acts, like, they had toned it down to where it was like, just enough that it's still that signature Marvel movie comedy, but
by the time they got to New Jersey and got to the old barracks, basically, they fit in little lines. Like the War Games joke was hysterical. The War Games
joke was hilarious when she's like, "Would you like to play a game?"
I actually saw that coming. Like, that's funny. And he's like, "Yeah, I saw that." You know, just stuff like that. And then all the action scenes, some of the best action I've seen. They're brothers, the directors.
Yes,
let me just go real quick to the directors. Directed by is that on IMDb?
It is Anthony Russo and Joe Russo.
They even said that they modeled the shootout scene off of Heat, Michael Mann's Heat.
Yeah.
Which, when you see it, you're like, that's why it's awesome.
Sure.
How it's cut, how there's minimal music, they let the sound of the gunfire and everything do the talking, how well it's choreographed. You always know where all the... That's the most important thing that people forget when writing and shooting action scenes. You have to let the audience know where all the parties are so it makes sense in their head. And so it lets you know the urgency of the situation and lets you know then movement between characters, why it makes sense, and so you can follow the story in your head. And they did that beautifully, because there was the stuff going on the bridge and underneath, and then they had Black Widow off to the side getting shot at by Winter Soldier, all at the same time.
I remember thinking that when I watched it, wow, this is incredibly easy to track.
Yes.
Like, you never guessed, you weren't just watching guns fire and waiting for the outcome to play out. You could actually build the map of what was going on in your head, and that's just fucking great directing and writing of the scene.
And then enough twists and turns to keep you going, and again, politically like just relevant as hell. Yeah. Which I said they probably didn't even plan to that extent how relevant it was going to be. It sort of just created the perfect storm. It gets you to think. Awesome action. I love Cap. I can't wait till basically the next Marvel stuff coming out down the pipe. You got Guardians of the Galaxy. You can't count Amazing Spider-Man 2 because that's not a Marvel film, and X-Men: Days of Future Past is not a Marvel film. But
yeah, but I as a huge X-Men fan,
you're looking forward to it.
I'm sorry, I was really like, and then I saw the preview and I was like, what I liked about the preview is they didn't focus on action; they focused on the drama of it, and I was like, it looks like they might have this right. The only thing I
don't like is that all these X-Men movies, besides for First Class, are all Wolverine movies, which I can't stand. There's so much Wolverine movies, so hopefully this one isn't as big for that.
Well, he factors in fairly heavily into that story, but I don't think it's going to be as much of a Wolverine movie as 1 and 2 were.
I also like the fact that, well, this is again a spoiler, that you're going to have Quicksilver both in this movie and in the Avengers next year.
But they're different because they're mutants in one and they're miracles in another.
Yes, which is a great way around it.
Anyways,
that's a great way around it. So if you have not seen Winter Soldier, it's so weird with these Phase 2 movies, Iron Man 3, Thor 2, and Winter Soldier. I was so much more impressed by 3 versus 2, Thor 2 versus 1.
I still need to see Thor 2.
You still need to see the first Captain America, which I can't believe you didn't see it.
We'll get there.
So anyway, go out and see Winter Soldier. Even if you don't like the character, you might like him afterwards.
You probably will.
Yeah,
I really feel like you will. I mean, it turns it takes all preconceived notions of Captain America, if you're a Captain America hater and you don't know him, and it'll really turn them on their heads.
And if you're already a Captain America fan, you'll see him written very well, and you'll see the best action of I'd say any of the Marvel films so far. It's the best Marvel films produced film so far.